Okay, let's dive right in. We're looking at this essay by Jose Fernando Acosta from April 2025. It's called When Insensitive Charisma Turns into Toxic Positivity.
Right. And Costa starts with a pretty strong point. Charisma, that magnetic thing we usually think is great.
Yeah.
Well, he says it's not always a plus. It can actually become a liability, and it can morph into what he's calling toxic positivity.
Okay, toxic positivity. So how does he define the good kind of charisma then? The balanced kind?
It's interesting. He says it's not just like charm or raw confidence. It's really about balancing two specific things: warmth and competence.
Island's competence.
Exactly. Warmth is all that stuff like empathy, kindness, being approachable, understanding. It's what makes people feel comfortable, invites them in.
Mm-hmm.
And competence, that's about being reliable, having the expertise, the capability. That's what makes people trust you and keeps them engaged.
So it's really the mix that matters, not just being warm or just being competent.
Precisely. Costa really emphasizes that when charisma is balanced with that real warmth and genuine competence, that's when it creates, actual human connection.
It builds trust, maybe,
Right.
psychological safety.
Yeah, exactly. The warmth makes you feel safe, like they care. The competence shows that they know what they're doing. They're reliable. Together, it works.
And he talks about how people with this balanced charisma act.
He does. He mentions things like active listening, really listening, thoughtful responses, and crucially, adapting their tone and their whole demeanor to fit the situation.
Right, like knowing when to be softer and when to be more direct.
Exactly that. Leaning into warmth, say, when someone shares something vulnerable, offering support, but then being able to project competence, through clear communication if there's a crisis at work or something.
So that adaptability is key.
That's what Cost argues makes it a bridge. It helps build mutual respect, collaboration. It's not just about grabbing attention.
Okay, I get the positive side, but this is where it gets tricky, right? How does something that sounds so, well, good tip over into this toxic positivity thing?
That's the core of the problem he's tackling. It happens when the desire to project warmth and competence becomes more important than the genuine connection itself. It starts feeling performative.
Ah, so it's about appearing charismatic, not actually being present.
Yes. Instead of meeting someone where they are emotionally, you kind of just plaster your own upbeat energy onto them. That's his definition of toxic positivity.
And we've probably all heard those phrases he mentions, haven't we? Like, just stay positive.
Oh, absolutely. Or everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, those can feel really grating sometimes.
Well, Costa says they're problematic because they just invalidate what the other person is actually feeling. It makes you feel unheard, dismissed, like your real feelings aren't okay.
He gives an example, right? Like with a job loss.
Yeah, a really clear one. A friend tells you they lost their job. The balanced, charismatic response. Costa suggests it involves acknowledging their disappointment, maybe offering real encouragement, talking next steps, or maybe just being there with them.
Okay, that sounds supportive.
But the toxic response, that's driven by this need to be relentlessly cheerful, maybe because the person is uncomfortable with negative feelings. It sounds like, wow, what a great opportunity for you.
Oof, yeah.
Or, don't worry, you'll find something even better right away. It just completely steamrolls the friend's actual experience of loss or fear.
And Costa connects that disconnect to, what? A lack of empathy.
Basically, an inability or maybe even an unwillingness to match the other person's energy. It's like they're trying to force a positive vibe where it just doesn't fit.
It shows a lack of emotional intelligence in that moment, I guess. Being out of touch with the real situation, not just the one they want it to be.
Exactly. Not the expected reality, but the actual one.
So what happens over time then? If someone keeps doing this, what's the cost?
Well, the consequences are pretty serious, according to the essay. Relationships definitely suffer. Trust erodes. I mean, if you consistently feel like your real emotions aren't welcome or seen, you just stop sharing, right? You pull back.
Makes sense. And how does the person doing it come across?
They start seeming insincere, superficial, maybe even totally out of touch.
Right. That constant pressure to seem warm and competent all the time, it could look self-serving.
Yeah, he suggests it might even border on, like, a narcissistic trait focused more on protecting their own positive self-image than actually investing in the relationship.
And the irony, the paradox he points out.
Is that the very things charisma is built on, warmth and competence, actually get diminished. The warmth feels fake because it bypasses reality. The competence seems detached because it's not actually engaging with the real issue, just offering platitudes.
So it ends up being a barrier, not a bridge.
Exactly. The opposite of its intended effect.
Okay, so this leads to the crucial part.
Yeah.
How do you avoid falling into that trap? How do you keep charisma genuine?
Costa gives some guidance. The big thing is prioritizing authenticity over just performing charisma.
which means being more self-aware.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cultivating that self-awareness, noticing in the moment when your own need to project positivity or capability starts to overshadow what the other person actually needs or is feeling.
He has those self-reflection questions.
Yeah, they're good ones, like asking yourself, am I really listening or am I just waiting for my chance to speak? Or am I validating their feelings? Or am I trying to push my own view or force a positive spin?
And that idea of matching energy, what does that really mean? It doesn't mean getting dragged down, does it?
No, Costa's clear on that. It's not about mirroring negativity exactly. It's about acknowledging and respecting the whole range of human emotions, frustration, anger, sadness, fear as valid.
Okay.
So it means resisting that knee-jerk reaction to immediately try and fix how someone feels.
Offer presence first. Empathy.
Yes. Validate their experience. Show them you hear them, that you get why it's tough.
Yeah, and those simple phrases he suggests can be really effective.
Incredibly powerful, yeah. Things like, that sounds really tough, or I can see why you'd feel that way. Just simple validation.
He also mentions silence, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes saying less is more.
Absolutely. A moment of truly present, empathetic silence can communicate more warmth than a string of cliches. It ties into that Chris Voss idea mentioned in the source, too. Just naming the negative emotion honestly, it sounds like you're feeling really frustrated, can validate it and take away some of its power. Shows you're not scared of it.
And this reframes competence too, doesn't it? It's not just about having answers.
Right. Costa suggests true competence here involves knowing when to lead and when to follow, when to offer solutions and when to just, hold the space for someone.
So it requires a bit of humility.
Humility, yeah. Admitting you can't just magically fix everything. And courage, being willing to sit with discomfort, both yours and theirs, without needing to immediately smooth it over with forced positivity.
So wrapping it up, what's the core message Costa wants us to take away about charisma?
He brings it back to that duality. Real charisma unites, builds strong bonds, but when it's misused, when it becomes performative, it pushes people away, it divides.
Intentional, sensitive charisma builds respect. Misused charisma alienates.
Exactly, and the ultimate key, he says, isn't about perfecting your performance, it's actually about embracing imperfection, both yours and theirs.
Because people crave authenticity more than constant positivity.
That's the heart of it. People want to be seen, heard, and valued for who they really are, even when they're struggling, not just for how well they fit into some neat, positive narrative.
So the final thought is, maybe let go of trying to be charismatic all the time.
Yeah, let go of that pressure. Focus instead on just making a genuine human connection in that specific moment.
That, he argues, is how you actually inspire people, not by projecting an image, but by truly honoring their humanity
Mm-hmm.
and your own